Hi, come on into the Bruce channel. I'm Bruce. And what is all this, you ask? Well, no one knows for sure, including me. It won't be a copy of anyone or anything, although my old morning show might serve as a model. And I readily credit any number of individuals such as Dave Barry, Andy Rooney, et al. For inspiring the tone. And while I'm not delusional enough to believe that your life will be enormously and permanently changed because of these few minutes, I do hope to occasionally provoke a minute or two of thought, and maybe a smile, and maybe some of both. Whatever else it may be, I know it will be eclectic, as my ADD would demand. I do imagine some core components, musing at the inexplicable. An occasional rave, an occasional rant, more raves than rants I hope, politics or anything else, and doubtless there will often be music. Sometimes we'll go behind the scenes of whatever it is that comes to mind that we should go behind the scenes and see that which we don't often see, and sure, Mrs. McGillicuddy, I can diagram that sentence. But limited to 15 minutes, not every component makes it into every episode. And whatever it is early on, it's sure to evolve, and you can influence that. So write me at the Bruce channel at yahoo.com. So that's the plan. Of course, many of my plans go awry, but that would be grist for a different day. Once a week means it's not a news show, and I won't do weather, but sometimes things conflate. And the news and the weather, this is one of those times. Can you believe what western New York got hit with this week? I grew up with lake effect snow. I know that it can be brutal, but some places getting over 5 or 6 feet, this is of biblical proportions. I mean, they're talking 6, 7, 8 feet in some pockets. I gotta wonder if the first white settlers first wintered there, if something like this had hit them, might not the history of North America be different? I can imagine them encountering this, looking at each other and saying, let's get the hell back to where we came from. All right, back after this word. Hey, let me tell you about my book, Shrink. For most of my adult life, I weighed a little over 100 pounds, not much more than in this picture when I was about 17 and considering becoming a jockey. But as is often true, once I crossed into my 40s, extra weight came, and it stayed. I tried to lose for over a decade and ended up at 153 pounds, and I'm embarrassed to show you this video. Then I learned some things, that it isn't calories and exercise, but instead it's what you eat. Well, you may say, sure, ice cream makes you fat. But many things I thought healthy aren't. Things like orange juice, which really isn't such a wise choice. So I just made some basic changes to what I ate, not how much, and this time the weight fell off. And now approaching 3 years later, it is still off. And don't misunderstand, I'm eating foods I like, not bamboo shoots. Friends ask me how I did it so often, I decided to put it in a book. It's available as an ebook for all the platforms, and the print edition is available at barnesandnoble.com and amazon.com. Hey, you can shrink too. Okay, welcome back. This week is Thanksgiving. It's long been my favorite holiday, in no small part because it was family and love and not very commercialized. I remember years ago in a television essay, I mused that I found it remarkable that folks would get up early and stand in line waiting for the doors to open on Black Friday, and the term was still new back then. Today, that all seems rather quaint. All right, the stores will open at midnight or 3 or 4 or 5 and 6, and I still find it remarkable. But what I find just this side of reprehensible is that some stores can't even let the one day go by. Walmart isn't the only one, but they are the largest retailer, and they'll open at what, 6? I mentioned my dismay to a friend, and she disagreed, saying that, well, I'm sure that they can ask to have the day off, and some will probably welcome the hours. They can use the extra money, and that was a point of view that I hadn't considered. So, as more of a field trip than a scientific survey, I asked 6 folks at my local Walmart. Only one said she didn't mind working, it was okay either way, but they all told me there is no choice, everyone is on the schedule, some with 12-hour shifts. The only off is to call in sick. And they said that might not be such a good idea either. So much for the voluntary. Oh, and think too, doesn't this affect the merchandisers? If Walmart is open, then don't the merchandisers, not the store employees, but those who stock the shelves for bread, soft drinks, beer, wine, like that, the outside vendors, won't they have to work too? I just think the whole thing brings us collectively one step nearer being stark, raving mad. One man's opinion. All right, Thanksgiving part 2, but this one is a first. Several weeks ago, I got a very nice letter from Jeff Gauger, publisher of the Greensboro News and Record. It's not a huge paper. It's closer to a metropolitan newspaper than a church letter, and I get it 7 days a week. In this nice letter, publisher Gauger explains, and I quote, "On Thanksgiving, we will deliver you the biggest newspaper of the year. As always, it is loaded with information you can use and valuable advertising to get your holiday season off to the right start." You know, that premise right there, off to the right start, I question, but that's a different day. Because of its sheer size, the Thanksgiving Day newspaper is one of the most expensive to produce and difficult to distribute, and many of our carriers must use additional help to complete deliveries in a timely manner. Effective this year, we will charge a premium rate of $2 for the Thanksgiving Day newspaper. Did you get that? Because it is their biggest day, all this extra advertising, I mean, it's their biggest revenue day, right? It's gang war advertising with what? 100 times more advertising than news content? And because they're going to make all this extra money, on top of that, I'm supposed to pay a premium so they can send me this extra crap that I'm immediately going to take and pass into the recycling bin? I don't think so. So when I received this nice letter, I was annoyed. I called Mr. Gauger, I got his voicemail, and I left a message. And although there are still a few days left, it's not looking like he's going to return my call. Had he, I had hoped to persuade him to rescind this decision, to rescind it for all subscribers. That would be fair for everyone. But failing that, I was going to ask him to waive it for me, and I know that wouldn't be fair for everyone, but I'm not paying the $2, and besides, it would be fair if my paper came without all the advertising, and I'm cool with that. If need be, I'll cancel the paper for the day, or possibly cancel the paper, period. Which would be a shame, because I want newspapers to succeed, to once again thrive. Anyway, I'll let you know next time how it all went down. It's not the $2, it's the principle. You younger people, pay attention. Boomers already know some of this. An early television sitcom was The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. Now the premise was high school student Dobie Gillis would fall in love each week, and each romance would provide teenage angst and new circumstances from which to disentangle himself. We've all been there. To solve these problems, Dobie would go sit in front of a copy of Rodin's Thinker, and he would think. Well, I'm Dobie Gillis, sort of. I mean, I've fallen in love more times than I can remember, and unlike Dobie Gillis, I wouldn't sit by the statue. I'd instead write her a song. Not that it ever, well, I shouldn't say never, but not often. Well, I wanted to share one with you, and it requires just a bit of backstory. Years ago, I met this woman, beautiful, confident, self-assured. She was a public spokesperson, for heaven's sake. But she'd always refuse my entreaties, my invitations, politely. But she would always decline. And I'd ask why, and finally she allowed that she'd been badly hurt and was basically afraid of the world and in therapy. So very publicly self-assured, she'd nevertheless go home, close the door, stay there until it was next time to go to work. Well, naturally, I wrote her a song in which I proclaimed that I would not hurt her, that I would help her heal, and that I would protect her. Ultimately, it did not work. But I still think the song was good. Maybe not my all-time best, but a good one. So here now is Given Half a Chance.
Tender as a mother's touch, warm as the noonday sun, soft as a willow, strong as an oak, toe-to-toe with anyone, always in disguise, hiding from the light of day, until the day's at end, no issues to contend, the mask is put away. Given half a chance, I'd do anything to ease the pain. I'd do anything to right the wrongs to make you see you're not alone in a raging storm. I'd stop the rain, given half a chance. I'd take on all the world and work to set you free. Erase those memories, given half a chance. I can see it in your eyes. You wonder, should you even try? I can hear it in the way you speak, in the things you say. There's a tear behind the smile. I know there's strength within you. It's always on display. But you don't have to prove anything to me. Just don't turn away. Given half a chance, I'd do anything to ease the pain. I'd do anything to right the wrongs, to make you see you're not alone in a raging storm. I'd stop the rain, given half a chance. I'd take on all the world and work to set you free. Erase those memories, given half a chance. I'm not trying to own you. I'm not trying to steal your soul, but reaching up for a helping hand is not giving up your control. Given half a chance, I'd do anything to ease the pain. I'd do anything to right the wrongs, to make you see you're not alone in a raging storm. I'd even stop the rain, given half a chance. I'd take on all the world and work to set you free. Erase those memories, given half a chance. Just half a chance, given half a chance.
And I hope you liked it. As is true for the Bruce channel as a whole, if you like it, I hope you'll share it. And in particular, if you live next door to, say, Vince Gill or Bruno Mars or Michael Bolton, share it with your next door neighbor and ask him to subscribe too. And that will do it for this, our inaugural. I do wish for you and your family and all of your loved ones, wherever they are, close I hope, a most wonderful Thanksgiving Day.